Today we pick up with absolute monarchy in Russia. Remember, the Romanov dynasty is going to be established with Michael Romanov after they had a time of troubles where they were fighting over who's going to be next. So he establishes the Romanov dynasty. In 1682, we will see a very strong Tsar take over in Russia, and his name is Peter the Great. And he takes the throne when he is only 10 years old. And he will finally gain complete control of the government when he is 17, when he becomes an adult. At that point, he decides to travel to Western Europe. Remember, Western Europe and Russia had been cut off from each other by the Mongols when the Mongols came into Russia. And so they really hadn't had much to do with each other. So Peter the Great felt it's time for him to go visit. And so he goes to Western Europe and he decides to study the technology and the factories and the art galleries, the carpentry, all these advances that had been made in Western Europe that Russia had not been a part of. He decides that at that point he's going to bring back these experts with him to Russia to help teach his own people. He wants Russia to modernize. However, his people oppose him because that's not tradition, that's not the way things have been done. And so when his people begin to fight against his ideas to modernize, he becomes very autocratic. He's going to basically force them into it. He's going to tie the serfs even further to the land, that they couldn't make decisions without their lords saying it was okay. And he's going to push technology and education and improved waterways. He's going to develop mining. He's going to change the way that the nobles dressed, that they needed to be clean-shaven instead of having beards, and they needed to wear Western clothing instead of the traditional Russian garb. He also will end the seclusion of women, that women could be allowed to do activities with men. For example, dancing. They could dance together, and it wouldn't be illegal to do that. He had basically no toleration for anyone who resisted him. At one point, over 1,000 palace guards are going to be tortured and executed because they were fighting against the rules that he wanted to have in place. And he decides, well, he's going to hang the corpses outside of the walls for months after he has them killed, in order to show an example to people that this is why you don't oppose your ruler. During Peter the Great, the Russian territory will expand. He builds up his military powers. He creates a very large standing army, and a standing army is one that is always there. So he doesn't have to call on his nobles and say, hey, I need some fighting guys, can you bring them with you? Instead, the army is always there, and he can just take it out. So it takes away some of that preparation time. So it was a good thing for him to do that, because then he's able to go on a moment's notice. He creates a treaty with China, which will better define the border between Russia and China. He goes to war with Sweden, where he will win land from Sweden, so gaining more territory. And he will move the capital city to St. Petersburg. Now, St. Petersburg was located on a swamp. They needed to drain it, and they drained it, and he created this brand new city, which is going to be named in his honor. And he brings in Italian architects and artisans to help him design this city. Peter's legacy after this, he's going to obviously expand the territory. He will also gain a lot of ports and build an army. One of his successors is Catherine the Great, and Catherine the Great was this German princess. At the age of 15, she's going to wed the heir to the Russian throne, the next guy in line for the Russian Tsar. However, her husband was very unstable mentally, and eventually he will be murdered. And so she takes the throne, and she's very efficient and energetic. She reorganizes the government. She brings in state-sponsored schools and Western ideas. However, she's also seen as a very ruthless person because she does put down a peasant rebellion. She expands the borders of Russia even more, and going into Poland and the Ottoman Empire. And she will agree to divide up Poland with Austria and Prussia in order to gain more territory. So she goes to such lengths as to cooperate with old enemies in order to gain land.